this gets a little complicated, but the Federal Reserve says this is an asset because the government's going to pay it back to us plus interest. But they also say it's a liability because if they don't pay us back, we've lost something. You see, we're at risk, so it's a liability. What happens if they don't pay us back? And so it's just an accounting trick, is all it is. But it does have to go on both sides of the ledger. But anyway, basically, it's the Fed considers it as an asset, and the government considers it as a liability. And so anyway, the point is that the money was created out of nothing, and now the government can spend that money. So let's follow, before I go there, let's just say, why would the government be interested in this? Well, why not? Otherwise, what happens if people don't want to lend the government money this month? They'd have to increase interest rates up until finally they could lure people out and lend them the money. Interest rates would go way, way up. But this way, whatever the amount of money that is a shortfall, the government's not getting it from the private sector, and they still need another $1 trillion, they can go to the Federal Reserve System, and by agreement, the Fed, as their partner, will create that money out of nothing. For example, we saw starting in 2008 through 2009, the government needs these billions and trillions of dollars to bail out the banks and bail out General Motors and to send money overseas to other banks and all of these things, and to fund this government program and fight the war in the Middle East. Trillions and trillions of dollars. Where does that money come from? Well, I can tell you, they're not getting it just from selling government bonds. They're getting it mostly from the Federal Reserve, which just creates it out of nothing. That's why when the votes come up in Congress and they say, well, we need how many trillion was that again? Well, let's see, call over. Oh, they said they thought it was maybe 70 trillion or whatever. But is that a solid figure? They say, I don't know. Who cares? Just vote for it. That's really how it works. Who cares what it costs? Because they don't need the money anyway. The Federal Reserve is going to create it. Whatever is needed, it'll just be created out of thin air. See, this is how it works.
So really, none of our money touches the government like the money that's created by the Federal Reserve that goes to the government.
No, it's all created by the Fed. That's the point. It's all created by the Fed.
In other words, our taxes are minuscule compared to what the Federal Reserve creates for the government.
Our direct taxes are minuscule.
Yes.
The indirect tax is called inflation, which we haven't yet seen, because a lot of this is still in the pipeline. It's rattling down the pipe, and when it comes out the other end and all that money really floods into the economy, which most of it hasn't yet, but it's going to. It's coming down the pipe. And when it finally bursts out the end of that pipe and goes into the economy and starts competing with all the other dollars that are already there, then you're going to see food prices and gasoline prices and education prices and everything just go through the roof. And that's where the tax will hit us, the indirect tax called inflation. That's why we'll pay for it in that fashion.
Can you answer one last thing? This is really important. Can you explain the role of the Treasury as it was created in the beginning and where it is now?
Oh, well, that's an interesting question, comparing it then and now. I can tell you that...
to the best of your ability.
Well, to the best... Thank you for that, because that's... I'm a little bit uncertain as to how I would make a comparison. I do know in basics the comparison is quite simple, that in the beginning the Treasury was responsible for regulating and issuing the nation's money. But you see, in the beginning the nation's money was gold and silver coin. And so the Treasury acted more or less like weights and measures department, where the government might be called upon to standardize what is a pound, what is a foot, any weight or measure that people need so they can all work on the same scale without confusion. Nobody will be cheated. They did the same thing with money. What is a dollar? A dollar will be a certain quantity of silver or gold. So in the beginning, the Treasury was responsible for setting the value or the measurement of money as ounces. And that was a very important function and necessary function. And they were also responsible for operating the mints, which created the coins that represented that value of silver or gold. Now, today, let's jump ahead. The Treasury doesn't do any of that. The Treasury is actually more responsible than anybody in breaking down the value, the measurement value. What is $1 today? Well, compare it to $1 10 years ago. Are they the same? No. What is the value? There is none. See, they've broken the description of $1 away from any concept of value. It's just $1. $1 is $1, and that's it.
So I wonder what their relationship is to the Federal Reserve today.
Well, the relationship to the Federal Reserve is that the Treasury actually stamps the coins or mints the coins and prints the money, the currency. But they do so at the request of the Federal Reserve System.
Okay, so really they're an instrument for
the
Federal Reserve System.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Federal Reserve contracts with them to create the money that's in circulation. The money that's in circulation is a small percentage of the total. Most of it, by far, is checkbook money or computer money.
Yes.
It never materializes at all, except as digits and little spots of ink on a piece of paper.
You're a fascinating man to talk with. And your book is marvelous. Very informative. So many of your books and your works are so informative. And I really appreciate all the work that you've done for humanity to help live in a better society and a just society. And I hope you never reach the day where you're so distraught and you're so discouraged that you wish you had never been involved in any of it.
Oh, well, that'll never happen. I've been in the trenches too long for that.
Yeah.
And but I have great hope for the future. Not the immediate future. The short term looks very, very dark.
Yes.
But the long term looks bright to me because we created an organization called Freedom Force International, and we really think that we've got the solution of how to turn this around for the next generation. And we're laying the groundwork now. Very important. This changes like this don't just happen overnight.
Right.
It'll take a generation or two, but we're on the path already. And I urge anybody that wants to be involved in any of that to look us up on the website. It's www.freedomforceinternational.org.
It is a great pleasure and an honor to be speaking with you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking with, learning from, and listening to G. Edward Griffin, the author of The Creature from Jekyll Island, a second look at the Federal Reserve. He can also be reached by going to realityzone.com. G. Edward Griffin, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
It's a pleasure.